Wednesday night, the not so late night happy hour. It's going to serve tonight as the debate post game, the Dodgers post game, the NFL quarter poll overreaction, the what the fuck is the NFL doing with COVID? All right, are we going to have any games this weekend? All of that and more. And the craziest part maybe at the end when we discuss next week's plans. But I will open up with this as we're watching the Dodgers try to get the final two outs of a 6-3 victory. Kenley Jansen on the mound, throwing 89. Soren, you look well tonight. The hair is good. The hair is good. Yes, the hair is good.
All right.
I'm going to throw you off here.
Pretty much been the same for 30 years, just a little less now. Grayer.
You have it. I believe me, these things right here, I've been building up a supply of them because my bit is going to be less fat white Whitlock when my hair is really gone. So I'm going to be wearing these all the time. I'm about 5 years away if I don't curse on the air or say something stupid. But I will be doing shows in these cheap chapeaus all the time.
Well, mine's going too. I'm getting the peninsula thing happening, so it's hanging around there. I can fake it all right.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's all that's left.
Well, I'll tell you a story. Yesterday I got on the phone with my mother.
That's what I'm here for, Steve. Tell me a story.
Yeah, you want to hear my stories? It's very interesting. You live. You're really treating this lockdown like hardcore. Staying safe, which you're smart. I'm not.
You're pretty smart. Don't say that because you give the wrong impression. I would say that I'm in the top 5% of taking it.
Oh yeah.
When you say 95th percentile, where would you say I'm at?
Oh, you're at least 95th, and I'm going to tell you a story later on. You're going to be like, okay, Cofield, you just dropped down to like 25th%. The only thing I'm not doing is being an anti-masker, but I wear the mask. But I was talking to moms last night, and let's see, she's 76 now, right? And she's a firecracker. She cusses like a sailor. I was cursing a lot yesterday on the call, a lot of F-bombs.
Okay,
but she's like, yeah, I've been watching your. I can't do a good impression of her, but I've been watching your video, your late night video, and I don't know what's going on, but I like watching for a couple minutes. I don't understand the sport. She's like, but that one guy, he's handsome. And she throws out a name and she says Patel. And I'm like, what, like my high school? What are you talking about? Like my high school friend? I have a high school friend. His last name is Patel. And eventually she gets to Petro.
Because you're from New Jersey. And in New Jersey, Patel is Smith.
Patel is Smith. Yes. My friend KU, who I went to junior high school with. And then whatever. We're friends. He went to Rutgers too. But yeah, she was like, he's a good looking guy.
Patel is.
No. Petro. She was talking about you.
Oh.
No, she said Petro is a good-looking guy. Now I was like, okay, he can be. And then I thought about it. I was like, well, with the surrounding cast on the I need to put up the we're not fucking around here header with the supporting cast that drops in. You are in good shape on this whole thing.
I will say this. It's like we've got a drop that I played. I said this a long time ago. I said, hey, people can tell you got the best hair in the room, but if you're sitting with Pete Enoch and Frank Bull, who cares, right? It's all relative to who's around you. Hey, you're the tallest guy in the room. If you're at a little person's convention, who cares, right? That's not saying anything. So yeah, but you listen. If Mama Cofield says, I'm handsome, I'll take it, man. I'll listen. You know how many times I've heard that in my life? Counting your mom?
Maybe.
And not counting your mom and not counting my mom?
I'll go 10, 15 times from your wife.
No, that's it. That's a first. Never heard before. Never heard before.
All right.
My wife looks at me and goes, he's like a mule. He's reliable. He'll pull the sled. He'll pay the bills. He'll come home. He'll be here. I don't have to worry about where he is. But he's not winning any races. There's no great rides across the beach. He'll just pull the wagon.
By the way, Jensen just gave up a double. It's 6-4 now. The Dodgers on top of the pod squad. So I decided to actually turn on one of the 45 streaming services I have actually on the computer so I can watch games and not be all obnoxious. Like, I don't care. So it's 6-4, man on second, top 9, 1 out.
Do you like? We were discussing. I had not realized. It speaks to how baseball has become just like a box score to me. Like I don't know the last time, other than the Royals, right? Like that's my job. The last time I sat and watched a 9-inning baseball game, I can't tell you. It has not happened in this playoffs. I've had it on while I'm doing the show, like the day games. I do enjoy that, but I can't say I'm like. I mean, I like sit down. I'm going to watch a 9-inning ball game. Like I don't know when I've done it, and I did not realize that Kenley Jansen has become a combination of Doug Jones and Trevor Hoffman. I did not realize how low his velocity is now.
He's gone way down. I realized it because I think in our fantasy league, or maybe I have two NL. No, it's because my other NL team didn't even do a draft. Yeah, I got him this year, and I was like, let's do it. You know, paid good money for him, reliable guy, and then he got out of the gates really well, and then it was just like 85, just getting bashed all around the park down the stretch, which kind of worried me about the Dodgers going to the playoffs. But the Dodgers that finally built up their bullpen, so they've got other arms, including the Gratterall kid. Pop up now, so looks like there's going to be 2 outs unless Will Smith, that's actually not him, it was at Barnes, unless he F's it up, but he got it. So 2 outs.
I do enjoy knowing you're behind me, yeah. So we're a little.
Yeah. So anyway, so now they have Gratterall.
No, I just wanted to.
Oh, I'm behind it. You could go ahead. Everyone's ahead of me. That's why I don't even have the comments punched up.
We're already into the next batter.
Game's over.
No, it's not yet.
Trent Grisham. There we go. 6-6. All right. Yeah. So anyway, so there's some Dodger knowledge. I probably got it wrong anyway. We'll get to. I guess that's kind of the Dodger in game. I admire you. You have daughters, and I think you had an educational moment tonight. I wasn't going to step near a television with another one of these debates on, but you actually watched.
I did watch the debate. I watched it with my soon-to-be 14-year-old, whom watched the first one with me, and it's the first time. You know, she's an information junkie, and we just started letting her watch the news, and so she just can't get enough. I mean, you know her, Steve, and she's files everything away, and so yeah, she's into it, right? Like I was not big on current events, politics, and news, and all that kind of stuff. I have no choice. You want daddy-daughter time? Here we go. This is what she wants to do. You want to watch a show, honey? Yeah, my little one wants to watch Restaurant Impossible. She wants to watch Pool Kings, right? Like, you know, the kind of stuff you're like, okay, this is what you're going to end up watching with the kids, right? She's not into the little, I mean, you watch Dora and all that stuff when they're really little, right? They start growing up, and I can dig Restaurant Impossible. I'm all right with Pool Kings. I'm all right with Worst Cooks and Worst Chef or whatever and all those things. She likes the cooking shows. That's the little one. This one, let's watch the news, Dad. And you know, I got a multiple TV set up to watch games. I know. We're catching reaction from all networks. All networks.
You're like the White House. You're like the White House bed. You're gonna say you're like the White House bedroom with Trump. Got the whole TV set up. You know. Next up, she's gonna be tweeting shit about what's going on TV. Yeah. Getting all freaked out because of Rachel Maddow or Fox and Friends. And
the good news is I did work to make it easier to have more people there to watch all the games, and of course I'm in isolation, so yeah. I dropped money to make it better for all you guys to come over and watch games. And
party time.
You're not allowed. You can't come in.
Nope. And I will tell you right now, from talking to your daughter, and I probably haven't spoken to her. I think we were there like a year and a half ago. Yeah. I'm guessing she's eminently more qualified to vote in this election than probably 90% of the country.
She is, and she announced tonight her frustration with the moderator and not being able to handle things. It wasn't as bad as the last time since you didn't watch it, but she was kind of getting run over at times and in a much more polite fashion. And she's like, Dad, either you or I are going to have to start moderating this thing. So I did like, I get her dad's a loudmouth, by profession, right? She knows what I do on the radio. She's heard the show, but she threw herself in there too. Either you or I are going to have to moderate this thing next time because this isn't getting done.
She's got the Petro confidence.
She does.
Yeah. So Cam Dog's in. What's up? Carvelli's here. CJ Cards fan about 6 minutes ago said, "Here come the Padres."
I thought Adam was coming in. Why am I looking at him on the list?
I didn't invite him tonight. No, he did last night. I thought he was on the reminder tweet you threw out there. His picture was the ridiculous photo shoot that he did with his newspaper where he's holding a football. He looks like a fucking jackass. He's 6'3" and 300 plus pounds, and he played right tackle with his rec specs in high school, he needs to be with a tackling sled. Like he needs to be driving a sled in his oversized, stupid 9-button jacket that he's wearing. Instead, he's holding a football. Like, bro, you were never the quarterback. Stop.
I disagree. I thought he looked good. I thought he wore it well.
Yeah, you think so?
Mm-hmm. On behalf of all squatty individuals, but he's squatty while being tall.
Yeah.
AKA fat guys. No, I thought he looked good. Good look.
You know, that's touche. I should be backing him since we're all kind of in that same realm. I should not be ripping on the fact that he's slovenly and not photogenic.
Fat on fat hate is not cool.
It's not, but I've been doing it my whole life. And that's kind of my excuse when people are like, hey, man, what's with the fat shaming? I'm like, I'm fat.
Do you ever talk about your obsession for people with large heads?
I have. God, where was I? I was walking out of Home Depot last week, and there were a couple of Samoan women in front of me, and I was like, look at those legs. It was just, but it's the with the Polynesian people with the, if you get Samoans, you get the large heads. I mean, everything is just thick and sturdy and defensive tackle-ish, even the women. And hey, whatever, but they're strong mofos. I wouldn't mess with them. But yes, I've had that fascination. But I also, and I think they had gigantism, so it's kind of mean going back. There were a couple of brothers in my high school who had gigantism, and one was like 6'4" and one was 6'6", but they were really like 5'11". But because their heads, they had giant heads. So one of them was Big Head Mike. I can't remember his brother's name.
That is not true.
No, that's true. No, it's true. There was a guy in MMA, kind of in the middle era as MMA was growing, named Anderson Silva, and he was Bigfoot, and he had gigantism, and his head was like a tiki statue.
I remember Anderson Silva, but I don't remember his head being that big.
No, not Anderson Silva. This is what, did I say Anderson Silva?
Yeah, you said Anderson Silva.
I'm sorry. It's Bigfoot Silva. Now Antonio Silva. Yeah, Antonio Silva had this giant head, but like you'd interview, like I would interview him, and his shoulder was like lower than mine. I'm like, okay, dude. Like his head was that, and he's 6'4". So anyway, is that enough? Is that enough big head material?
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll press on now.
Yeah,
move to a lighter beat.
As Ari pointed out, we already did my Bitmoji material today, so I've used a lot of different material.
Oh yeah,
I might have a cookie. Run later. I might have a chocolate covered pretzels bit coming up. That's all good stuff. This is why I make the big bucks.
I like it.
Is that all you want on the debate? You're good to go. You're not going to come in all angry and huffy and puffy like Adam would.
No, I mean, you know me. Like I keep my politics mostly to myself. I'm a registered independent, so I'm boring. Like nobody wants to hear it. Like everybody wants to hate me because they put me on the other side. So it's no fun listening to me. I don't like either party. So they both suck.
Did you not register because you're truly independent, or you also don't want people to be able to look up and assume what your voting record is?
No, I'll give you.
Because we have had, by the way, people in our chat room who were like, "Hey, how come you didn't vote in the primaries?" I'm like, "Okay, I get it. You can look it up. I get it."
Oh, you can really? I didn't even know that.
You can look up if someone is a registered Democrat or Republican.
No, I'm open with what my background is. My background is I was raised Republican. My great aunt, which was, really kind of like my grandmother growing up, was heavy into the Republican Party. She worked the polls. She was like the city treasurer for a while in Fairway, Kansas, a little suburb in Kansas City. And then she was like a secretary of something for the Republican Party around here. And when I was little, my mom used to have to travel for a job. I would stay with her, and I would get taken to these different Republican events. And so I grew up very much with a Republican background, and I voted. Like I'll tell you who I voted for, like presidentially. I can't remember every other freaking election, but like I think my first vote, I voted like old. Did I get in on old Bush? Would I have been old enough for old Bush? I might have got in on him. I voted Dole and lost against Clinton. I didn't vote for Clinton either time. So I had Dole and whoever was running against him from the Republican side. I think I voted Republican every single time. The first Democratic president I voted for was Obama, and that one hurt because John McCain is a guy I would have voted for against anybody else in that election. So I really wish John McCain could have been president at one point. No, I'll give you my background on what it was and coming through and Obama, and Clinton, and where I'll go this time, there's no choice.
Nobody knows.
No,
or there's no chance.
You can figure it out. You can figure the trend will continue. But I consider like the Lincoln Party to be somewhat of like my voice because I have a lot of Republican ideals, right? There are things that I like, but there are people I can't vote for, right? Not with a good conscience. I actually try to vote the country first, right? What's best for the country, not what keeps my party in power. And that's where I became disgusted by it. And I'll tell you, I didn't like how the Democrats treated George H. Bush. And I didn't like how the Republicans treated Clinton, and going back and forth. And I became disgusted by the whole process of villainizing whoever's in power constantly. And I said, that's it, I'm out. So I've never been a registered Democrat. I was a registered Republican initially. I'm now a registered independent. But there are a lot of things about the conservative side that appeal to me, right? But right now I don't like where that's going. And I don't really like where the Democratic Party is going either. Now, that's not to say anything about either candidate, although I don't think this is a spectacular choice either way. I don't think anybody's bragging about the choices the last two times, but my opinion.
Yeah, we've had trouble getting past it. We've had trouble getting past the line, so just
the old, yeah, I did. George H.W.
Yeah.
If I was old enough, I think I voted for him.
Yeah, early '90s. I went for the old Bush as well. I was young. I got a 30-year-old, so it was good.
So what's yours? I just disclosed mine.
It's none of your business. I don't reveal anything.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. I come from a working class background. I come from a union background. So,
okay.
If that says anything,
and
I am. If people who watch this and listen to me on air know that I'm completely disgusted with the two-party system. I think most politicians are scumbags. They're just in place to self-preserve and make a fortune. These jobs don't pay anything all around the country, and yet everyone's falling over themselves to get the jobs, get these positions. So guess what's happening? They're lining their pockets. So the whole thing's fucking gross.
Yeah, you're not going to get any argument from me. That's why I don't want to be a part of either party.
I like it. I'm also independent. All right, so let's get to. We got a bunch of bets we want to mull over tonight, but the first thing we got to get to what's going on currently with coronavirus and
the NFL.
The whole NFL. It didn't register for me here because we're covering the Raiders so much, and we have our own mess with the Raiders, and they're proud of how they've crushed the virus and handled it, which is embarrassing. But I didn't think of what was raging in your town because it didn't register to me that freaking Stephon Gilmore testing positive today. Like, oh shit, the Chiefs played him. And so tell the Vegas audience like what happened at the end of the game and what you guys were talking about today.
So like full disclosure. So I have TV in the porch, right, to watch games. So like now up to 3 people I'll have over to watch the game. And I'm just giving you the background of what our reactions were when we saw this. So there was 4 of us. We kind of sit in all 4 corners and watch the game. And, if you're of the mindset that like we need to do everything, not that I can't survive COVID, right, but that I don't want to be a part of spreading it, right? So my country has asked me to stay home and do what's best. So that's what I do. And we try to take every precaution. Maybe not every, but like I said, 95%, right? I put myself in the 95th percentile. Anyway, we're watching the game, and we notice every time for 2 weeks we've been like, they're not wearing a mask. Like, why isn't Sean Payton have a mask on? Like, he's not even trying, right? And the NFL then is clearly seeing the same thing. Well, we're watching this game, and for the most part now, all the coaches are wearing some kind of shield or mask or visor, everything. That part seems to be fixed up. We get to the end of the game, and here comes Stephon Gilmore, knowing, first of all, and I reported this week, I reported Saturday night, and it's a fact, that there were more than 20 contacts on Cam Newton. Right, so they all wear the little devices on the contact tracing, and I was talking to some people. So Jordan Ta'amu, which the Chiefs have still not confirmed, they've put him on the COVID list, which all they will tell you is that either means he came in contact with somebody, and so he's quarantining, or it means he's positive. But no team will confirm its league policy because of HIPAA rules. But if you go on the COVID list, you can assume either they got it or they are in quarantine. And then the player has the right to go ahead and say if he wants to. So the fact that Cam Newton's got out of there, either somebody did some reporting or he told somebody, yes, I've got it. So anyway, Saturday comes, Cam Newton, wondering if the game's going to happen. Are they going to push it back? Jordan Ta'amu comes out, Chiefs practice squad quarterback, is also positive, right? And so doing some digging, I find out that the Chiefs had 3 contacts with Jordan Ta'amu. Of course, everyone's freaking out that it's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was not one of them. And Andy Reid has always denied. There are some teams allegedly that either have a backup or maybe even their starter that never – it can't be their starter because he's got to go out and practice. but maybe have a backup that they keep in isolation so that if both 1 and 2 quarterbacks go down, they've still got a real quarterback that can go out and play, right? Because your worry is the quarterbacks are all in the same room. Well, I got word, 3 contacts with Jordan Ta'amu. It was not Patrick Mahomes. He was not one of them. Doesn't mean he can't get it someplace else, but his contact, the little thing that they wear, did not show that he'd been in contact with Ta'amu. Meanwhile, on the Patriots side, more than 20 contacts with Cam Newton. Hence, they fly to Kansas City in 2 planes, 1 plane with all the guys who had contact with Cam Newton, which would not only be the players, that's how many players they had, but then it would also be support staff and everybody else. Then everybody else is in the other plane, yet everybody played. After the game, you're watching the game, like, well, which one of the guys for the Patriots, had contact? We don't know. After the game, normal time. And we've been talking about this for 4 weeks. The guys I watch the game with, like, I can't believe they're still doing the handshakes, right? They're doing all this stuff. They're doing it. And here comes Stephen Gilmore over to Patrick Mahomes. They give kind of like the close bro hug and an arm around each other. And then Gilmore grabs the back of Mahomes' pads, kind of pulls him close. And they're talking, about my face to my hand. And and we literally, one of the guys with me, my buddy Kurt, is like, get the hell away from him, right? Patrick Mahomes is a phenomenon like this town has never seen. You know how popular he is just nationally, and you can imagine when he's the treasurer of a small market town, how big he is. And it's like, get the hell away from him, right? People don't want anyone anywhere near Patrick Mahomes. So one guy, they don't want anyone near him. So we freak out. Nothing is really said. NBC doesn't say anything, and which, by the way, because the networks are completely complicit with just, carrying the story forward because they're trying to make money. And so we get to the next day's show, and I said, listen, I did it for my kicker. My last segment is, look, if my daughter's 5th grade girls soccer team can finish the game and then stand like 10 feet from each other and just wave as a show of sportsmanship, like good game, and do that, and then turn around, why can't the NFL figure that out? And the next morning, Stephen Gilmore tests positive. So now there's this freak out moment, and today's Patrick Mahomes' day, and Mahomes is asked, and to his credit, he immediately steps up and says, listen, I made a mistake. I got to be better. And really, I don't know that he made a mistake. I don't think the NFL has emphasized this. Like, you do all these different things, stay apart, do this, do that. But then when the game's over, it's okay, right? And it's the same false narrative that everybody at the White House found out. Just because you're tested doesn't mean you're invulnerable. You will test negative until the virus fully incubates and manifests itself. That would create a positive test. And where you become infectious, they don't know. So now there's this fear about Patrick Mahomes. It takes between 4 to 6, 5 to 7 days for it to come around. Count the days out from where if Monday night he got it, what's 4 to 6 days? It takes you to Friday to Sunday. 5 to 7 takes you Saturday to Monday. So Patrick Mahomes will probably take the field with a negative test, but in reality, you don't know till days after. And some people say it takes up to 14 days. There are some cases that it's taken 14 days from exposure for it to finally show up. So you're rolling the dice. You're playing with dynamite already. And, and I said this, look, in the NFL's defense, there is no game plan for how to run a professional sports league in a pandemic. So they do deserve some patience with the idea that they haven't figured everything out immediately. No one has. There's a reason why rule books have Rule 6, Rule 6A, Rule 6A-1, Rule 6A-2, because Rule 6 came up because the first 5 weren't enough. And Rule 6A was because there was a problem with 6, so we needed A, and then we needed -1 off that, and then a -2. That's why rule books get so thick, because time and experience, you realize there's more things we need to do. There's no time and experience with a pandemic. So I'll give the NFL that, but seriously, what really triggered the NFL? Watching Sean Payton have no attempt to put a mask on, pissed him off. They threatened to fine him. They did fine him. And then they started saying, now it's going to be draft picks. What sent him over the top was seeing the biggest star in the NFL. The next day they find out, or 2 days later, they find out that the guy he was too close to, which you knew they had that reaction at that time, then they find out that he's positive. They're like, holy shit, we got to do something. So that was a big topic of discussion. If Patrick Mahomes is not playing, you know what it means. In Kansas City, it means Bill Belichick infected Gilmore on purpose, and his sole plan was to get Patrick Mahomes infected after the game. They didn't care about it. It's to take Patrick Mahomes down, because that's what the Patriots do. They cheat. So it was a game plan. He was an intentional virus spreader, or at least that's what people want to say.
All right, everybody, we'll see you. That's a good note to go out on. By the way, that is a rejoin 6 times on my show tomorrow, and we're going to play it off like that was 100% serious. These Kansas City people are crazy.
No, don't play it. Don't play it off like it's serious. Don't do that.
I will play it once, and I will say you were being sarcastic, but then Adam and I will back it up by saying he is right. We believe what he was saying. We're not being sarcastic. Belichick would do this.
I will say this. There was some conversation with some of the people I was talking to where I got some of the numbers that maybe the Patriots inflated the numbers because the Patriots supposedly couldn't get everyone tested the first day, and that's part of why the game got backed up. And that was to steal an extra day of practice to try to get Brian Hoyer ready.
Right.
But and you're like, oh, that's unfair. It's like, no, it's not unfair. The Patriots cheat on everything. Yeah. Guilt by association.
Belichick would never do that. Of course he would. I'd be shocked if he didn't. If I were a Patriots fan, I'd be like, you moron, do what you do. Come on.
When Brian, what is it? What's the number? 70% of all games, the spread doesn't matter, right? If you can pick the winner, you got the winner against the spread. Now, granted, picking a 12-point dog to win, good luck, bringing that on one at a time. But point being, when Brian Hoyer's 1-11 in his last 12 starts, and he's been with the Patriots 4 times, yet they never let him start a game, clearly you jump on the Chiefs no matter what the spread is, right? Just like these two smart guys.
Yeah. We didn't, and that was going to be a win or loss or a 0. By the way, the Dodgers got out of it. I know the rest of the room has already seen it. But Joe Kelly got it done. Holy shit. Hosmer with the ground out. Poor Hosmer. He had a home run earlier, though.
And then he looked over at Hosmer and went.
He made the face. Hosmer also effed up last night's game and got things going for the Dodgers by getting crossed up on a throw to first. So poor guy.
Hosmer, he's got a lot going for him. I'll stick up for Hosmer. I mean, that was a bad play. He's got to make that play. He knows it. But I'll tell you what, if you want a guy that's aces to cover, Eric Hosmer, top of the list.
Starting to get more and more rare. How about Titans in terms of the penalty? Because we talked about the Patriots. The Titans didn't give a shit. So they got the goods on the Titans. The Titans are walking around the facility without mask on. The day after, the thing starts to blow up, a couple of the jabronis go out and they're practicing.
20 of them.
20 guys go out and practice, that's ridiculous. I got no problem if they make them forfeit, because who just said it? Brady said, is $5 million and a first-round pick enough? Now, I would say if they can't play the Bills this week, they're forfeiting that game and, yes, a first-round pick.
Here's
the money thing. I mean, who cares, really?
They do, because they're cheap bastards. They care about the money because their revenues are way down and they've got to cough up $5 million already. Right. So, I think there is an element. I think you throw the money in there for sure. You got to keep adding to it. What to me is an interesting dilemma, and I know I quote these guys a lot, but they're good friends, the PFF guys, Eric Eager and George Cheruri, on their podcast, they talked about how, who do you, right now, if the Titans can't play the Bills, who's their forfeit against? Is it against the Titans or is it against the Steelers? You're like, well, they can make the Steelers game up. Oh, okay. So because the Steelers, who switched their bye week, switched the game with the Ravens to make this work, they should just do that. Meanwhile, the Bills should get a freebie, get a free win when they're undefeated. Oh, and by the way, do you know what the Bills play next week?
Talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the podcast with you. Yeah, the Chiefs.
Yeah. So the Bills have a short on a Thursday.
Yep.
So the next week is a short week for the Bills. So here's what would happen if the Titans forfeit, and this is why it's a complete mess when this shit happens, and why the NFL is figuring it out. Because if they give a forfeit right now to the Bills, they get 11 days to prepare for a Thursday night game.
Yep.
And they're undefeated, playing, assuming the Chiefs can get by the Raiders, their biggest rival, or the number one team that they're trying to run down, who has to play them on 4 days rest and really 3 days rest, and then the game on the 4th day, and travel to Buffalo. So that's why this, if the Titans are screwing this all up, I will say this: the NFL's got to abandon Thursday night. They got to be like, listen, we'll make it up to you, our broadcast partners, but think if somebody tests positive on a Tuesday. There's no time. That game over. Thursday night's going to be game over. If someone from the Chiefs comes down, even on Friday or Saturday, you're starting to get to where you don't know you can play the Thursday night game. What they actually did a really good job schedule-wise of scheduling all the shitty teams at the beginning, and now we've got pretty good Thursday games because they did a nice job of figuring out who's going to suck, and they piled them all up against each other early on. Right? The Browns are the one team that's coming out looking like, okay, that's a good team, but they've already played. But they piled up all the turds in there, and for the most part, there's one or two that are in there still. But for the most part, you've got some pretty good games. But like, I don't know how you can play on Thursday when a positive test on Monday or Tuesday cancels that game.
By the way, I was actually thinking of the better penalty for the Titans. What about just putting it up here? How about the league gets 50% of the Titans parking and concessions for 2021, and then 31 teams split it up? You think the owners would care then? You think the owner would care then and tell Vrabel? Because Vrabel was being a smartass about 8 days ago. You know, they're like, hey, you know, are you taking it seriously? Do you know all about the protocol? He's like, I've read the hundreds of emails they sent. Well, apparently you didn't. So fuck you. Now your owner's going to pay, really pay, not $5 million.
And that's disappointing because, like, I know the Chiefs have been super serious about it, right? They clearly didn't do a great job of telling their players to stay away from the opposing team after the game. But I think they've been super diligent. You follow the players' social media, you can find out who's out and about doing things, screwing around, doing something they shouldn't be doing. By all accounts, they've been really good. And to now be sitting here where they're in a position where they may be, in a completely unfair competitive situation because other people are dumbasses, like that's ridiculous. The Chiefs, they wear the masks in there. In fact, Rick Burkhalter, the trainer, who the Chiefs have not provided enough time with, I've requested again, but we've talked about that before. Yeah. But one of the things he did say is he said, listen, this isn't that complicated, folks. Wear the mask and socially distance, and you can make this work. I mean, that's what we're doing. And one of the things we found out today is Reed, who never wants to give away any information and has said that, no, they're not quarantining a quarterback. They did say that they have a combination of in-person and virtual meetings. And then Patrick Mahomes said it as well. Now, is that them just saying some things to make the league think that they're on board and doing things the right way? I don't know. I suppose maybe. But the Chiefs have had they have continued to do virtual meetings of some kind, according to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes today, to try to make sure that everybody's socially distanced so that if anybody does bring the virus into the complex, in addition to mask, in addition to, the social distancing, they're using actual Arrowhead for some of their meetings so that they've got plenty of space to spread everything out. They've got like everybody else, their own practice facility, which is down on the other side of the parking lots, but they're using everything and they've done a great job. It's because they know they can win a championship. If you're on Team Suck, who cares? Well, the Tennessee Titans aren't Team Suck. Yep. They're undefeated and played in the AFC Championship game last year. You'd think that they would be diligent and focused on the fact that they got a chance to have a special season.
We talked about it 2 weeks ago that the coaches have more problems with this than the players because the coaches don't have rules generally, especially the college coaches. No one tells them what to do, and it's across all of football. Yeah, there's some smart people who are doing it the right way, but in general, it's team meathead. Yeah. And I'm sure there's some politics that play into this. You've got a lot of coaches and some players who are like, it's a fucking hoax. What's the big deal? I'm healthy. It doesn't matter, but it does matter because you can get through it with no problems. But the league, from an optics standpoint and saving its money, is going to shut the thing down. So if you don't follow the rules, you're all effed, and then you're effing us. Yeah, you're effing the fans. You're effing local communities. I don't know. There's certain cities now. I mean, when the hell are the Titans going to have fans anytime soon? They can't even get on the field.
And that's the thing. And that's why, we started this bit by talking about, what do you do with the Titans? Do they forfeit? I mean, I think retroactively, you're going to have to come back and start saying, if you've got certain teams that are taking it serious and certain ones that aren't. And listen, the league sent out a deal today. I'm sure you got it as well. They're installing cameras at the facilities to be able to check up on people, and that there will be fines of draft picks, financial fines, all that kind of stuff. Listen, I think retroactively, play it out. Just let it go. Keep trying to if you can fit the games in, okay. But if you have to start having games that aren't going to be made up, you can retroactively go back and say, listen, we're changing it. The Titans forfeit against this team. They forfeit against this team forfeits. And you start assigning blame. And because even if somebody, gets sick in a totally, innocent way, right? They're with family only, and somehow a family member brings it in, or they pick it up, going to the grocery store or whatever, right? But if you do it right in the complex, you should have no or minimal spread in the complex because you're practicing social distancing around. The one good thing for football fans is the Vikings had nothing. And to this point, and we'll see, if the Chiefs have no positive tests, and there are clearly Patriots, at least one, and Stephen Gilmore, and I'll bet you there's going to be more now, that the virus was incubating and coming to fruition at some point around that game. And if none of the Chiefs pop up positive, it does appear that the game is maybe safer than we thought it would be, that the ability to, become infected by playing football is less than maybe we thought it would be going into it. And that's a good thing for trying to get the whole season in.
By the way, this is great here. Here's the other end of this thing. What happens if teams forfeit games against the tank for Trevor teams? No. As a Jets fan, fuck you. I don't want wins. Fuck that. No.
They're serving COVID cocktails. All the losers, it's a race to see who can knock their whole team out.
God damn it. When do they play the Patriots? If the Patriots have an out, this is bullshit. Now I'm getting pissed. This is what I get.
Look into it. You have to look into it. Are you saying Darnold Mania is done with the Jets?
Dude, it's not done. I hatched this plan last week, and people are arguing with me. One, stop saying you need to fire Gase. He's perfect. This is exactly who you want. And this is the Warriors last year. Now the Jets aren't the Warriors, but when as soon as Steph Curry could have had anything, like Steph Curry, what was it, a broken wrist? Like it's a 2-month injury, and they're like, all right, done. Like anything, fucking hangnail on. Darnold might have he needs a massage before the game. Shut him down. He's out 8 weeks. All right. Joe Flacco is sacrificial lamb. Sign anyone else you want. I don't want to win any games this year.
No.
And because what you want to do is, if you've got two options, if the Jets have the worst record and they're at number one, they can take Trevor Lawrence. If Trevor Lawrence wants to fuck around and be like, I'm not going to go there and pull an Eli Manning or a John Elway, then you can get multiple picks to move down for Trevor Lawrence. And if they actually think, they can get multiple picks for that spot. And if they can get Lawrence, they want to keep him, he wants to go there, then you basically just hide Darnold, don't lower his value anymore. And the league is so quarterback hungry, maybe someone gives up a second for Darnold, a second and a fourth or something. So
you cannot, there's nothing you can do short of relegation, EPL style, soccer style. There's nothing short of relegation that you can do when you're trying to have competitive balance to prevent tanking. You have no choice but to tank. Tanking is smart. Okay, it's what every team should be doing if they suck. You must tank. It's period. End of discussion. It's the only way to go. Now, the Chiefs, what about the Chiefs? They were a playoff team. They got to Patrick Mahomes. Okay, yes. Identify the guy that there's maybe a 50-50 split on. People saying he's going to be a complete bust. Other people saying he's going to be Brett Favre. Then mortgage a ton of capital, go get him, and have him turn out to be a combination of Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Yes, if you think that is a path that is easily followed, the way the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes, good fucking luck. Good luck. I mean, all the credit in the world to the Chiefs organization for doing it, but that is not a blueprint, right? That was a moment in time and an opportunity. They saw him for what he was. The other teams didn't, and they got him. But, now every time that story happens, they get better and better and better and better at identifying who the quarterbacks are. Trevor Lawrence might only be Matt Stafford, right? Trevor Lawrence might be Aaron Rodgers, right? Or Peyton Manning. Let's take a 1-1 quarterback. But we know this, he's not going to suck. And so if you don't have a quarterback, you can't win. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, can you win without a Hall of Fame quarterback? You can. But let's go through the Super Bowl winners and tell me who didn't have a Hall of Fame quarterback. Chiefs this year, yes, he's going to the Hall of Fame. Pats last year, yes, he's going to the Hall of Fame. Eagles, no, Nick Foles is not. Patriots, yes. Broncos, Peyton Manning, yes. Brady, yes. Russell Wilson, yes. Joe Flacco, no. Eli Manning, yes. Aaron Rodgers, yes. Drew Brees, yes. Roethlisberger, yes. Eli Manning, yes. Manning, yes. Roethlisberger, yes. Brady, yes. What's his name? Brad Johnson, no. Okay. Brady, didn't know it at the time, but yes. Trent Dilfer, no. Kurt Warner, didn't know it at the time, but yes, already in the Hall of Fame. Elway, Favre, Aikman, Young, Aikman, Mark Rippon. What have I said? 4 non-Hall of Fame.
It was like 4. It was like 4 of 24.
Yeah, and so and then after that it's Sims. He's not in, right?
No,
it's actually Hostetler, so he's not in.
Yeah.
McMahon, it gets a little less. But over the last 24 years, if you don't have a Hall of Famer, you're 6-1. Forget about what the fuck else you got on your team. You're 6-1 against before we figure anything else. Yes, you tank for Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
If your general manager doesn't say he's tanking, you fire his ass.
Well, the Jets are in a good position. You preserve the value of Darnold. He still has some value, and then you play the game. You see if you want to keep Darnold or if Lawrence is going to agree and go there. So,
well, you hope a team like the Packers loses their quarterback and says, well, we're all in on this year. We'll trade for Darnold. Good. Take him. We can be even shittier now.
Mm-hmm. Bill O'Brien got fired. I want to tie this to Eric Bieniemy here in a second. Okay. You saw the story today with O'Brien that apparently he was being extra cunty with the DC, and he got on J.J. Watt. We joked about it today. We were like, wait a second. Like you can tell DeAndre Hopkins about, hey, I don't want your baby mamas around here. You start effing with J.J. Watt, that's it. You're done. And I'm sure
NFL Man of the Year.
Yeah, and J.J. Watt went straight to ownership and was like, get this motherfucker out of here. I'm done. We're 0-4. We suck. Get him out.
There is the element. I saw a little bit of this. There is the element of the fact that J.J. Watt's the second time he's butted heads with a star player. And so therefore it's like, okay, this is going to be a persistent problem. You got to go. You're not winning now. You're not popular. We're having trouble selling tickets. And now you're sideways with a star player. I will say I've seen a little bit of like, how come when the black player was sideways, that wasn't a reason to get rid of him. Right. So you trade away DeAndre Hopkins. I'll also say, and I've said this a lot, DeAndre Hopkins' value or his perceived value in the National Football League is largely based on PPR fantasy football owners.
Right.
Like I don't think he's as good as people think.
Honestly, I wasn't going there. I think it's more of a the final. You're not winning. It's the final straw. Here, I'll mention it again, and I'll try to find the audio. I'm telling you, I was blown away by the analysis at the half, and I know no one watches halftime shows, but Bill Cowher went in on O'Brien like about as much as he's going to go in on him, and he said it multiple times at halftime of your game, and he was like, Bill O'Brien needs to learn from this. He can't be this abrasive and this rough around everyone in the organization. He's got to have a different approach. There's different ways to manage different people, and I was like, all right, and this is before the story came out about J.J. Watt. I'm like, all right, something happened here.
Well, it was 2 weeks before that happened.
Yeah, Cowher's got some connections. So if Cowher's like, dude, you got to calm down, then O'Brien had a long track record of just being a jackass around people, and his ego got out of control. And obviously him being the GM was absurd. I'll use the line again, because you're on the Belichick tree, you ain't the fucking tree. Belichick's the tree. You're a twig. You're a branch. You can't do everything. Belichick could coach any position group on the Patriots and be like a top 5 coach with the position group. He could run the offense. He runs the defense. He's one of the best personnel guys. I know he's had some screw-ups, but he's one of the better personnel guys in the history of the NFL. He's probably the best capologist with the nerd in the basement, Ernie Adams. He's awesome at everything. You're Bill O'Brien.
Yeah. Bill O'Brien, to me, there's like none of the Belichick tree. O'Brien's been by far the most successful. 4 division titles in 5 years before this. Right. 4 in 6 of his 6 full seasons as a coach. A 52-48 record, so he's 52-44 coming into this year. There are a couple of 9 and 7 division titles in there, but there's a 10 and 6 and an 11 and 5. Only 2 playoff wins. Blew a 24-0 lead, but to a team that I think you're going to look back and be like, how the hell would they get up 24-0? Right? History's going to say like, holy shit. Bill O'Brien had those guys down 24-0 because now the defense, like since the second half of last year, the defense has come around the Chiefs. This is the best kept secret in the NFL. Number 2 scoring defense in the NFL. Number 2 scoring defense in the NFL right now. The offense hadn't really played that well in a number of games, including this past week against the Patriots where they only scored 19 points. But the defense can really play. And so I think there's a chance that this Chiefs team, you're going to end up looking back and going, oh shit, man, they were no joke. Like people didn't realize it. But they were no joke, like from the get-go. And so I do think his record is falsely criticized. But, like, if everybody wants you out, you're out, man. Like, that's it. If the fans want you out, if the players want you out, then you got to go. And I think everyone coaches the team like they have Bill Belichick's resume. You can be a big pain in the ass. You can be an oppressive piece of shit. You can suck all the fun out of the room if people believe in everything you're doing and you constantly back it up. See Bill Belichick's first half against the Chiefs. Like anyone who's like, God, Belichick's a pain in the ass. It's no fun here, but holy shit, We're 6-3 and driving at the end of the half to make it 6-6 or go up 10-6 on the freaking Chiefs, and we suck. Our talent's not even that good. I mean, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm going to follow what it is. Bill O'Brien didn't have that. Those, we used to talk about Dick Vermeil when he came to town and was coaching the Chiefs. You'd ask him questions, and his third year was his 13-3 year, won the division title, great offense and everything. But he would sit there in that press conference, tapping that ring on the podium. He'd answer questions, and he'd be thinking. And that big, fat Super Bowl ring was sitting there. It was always a reminder that this guy, hey, I may not, why can't he make the defense better? But shit, that is a Super Bowl ring on his finger. He knows what he's doing. Bill O'Brien doesn't have that. And, Andy Reid had that kind of clout without winning a championship. Now he's won a championship. And so I can tell you that Andy Reid walks on water with his players. But he also cares about his players. He lets them be men, which burns them sometimes. With some guy like Marcus Peters, it burned him. Right? Marcus Peters was an uncontrolled ass on the team, and they finally traded him and got great value. Got a second-round pick for him. Let's see what the Rams got for him. But, that sometimes it kind of burns him. But guys like playing for a coach that's not going to be an oppressive ass.
Yep. I saw the list of Texans candidates. Then I saw someone tweet out, hey, if you're Eric Bieniemy, what job do you want? One of my first thoughts on Bieniemy was he's not getting a job again.
Not Bieniemy's not?
I don't think he's going to be an HC again.
Well, he's never been an HC.
No, I mean, he's going to miss out on being a head coach again. And this time around, people are going to be like, what in God's name is going on? You know more about this than I do, but I've talked to people. What is the deal with him and the skeletons in the closet? Are we going to get to this or not? Because this time around, if the Chiefs go 14-2, win another Super Bowl, Clyde Edwards-Helaire as a rookie has a great year and has a combined 1,699 yards. That's a great year. If that happens and they're rolling, and come on, if Bieniemy doesn't get a job, we have to explain why he's not getting a job.
Right. So, there's he doesn't call the plays. There's he was a running backs coach, not a quarterbacks coach.
It's none of it. It's not he's African American. It's not. It's none of it. It's none of it.
And I agree with you. And we've had this conversation. I think that was the course where there was a good chance he was going to get passed over. And I would have told you 2 years ago, Eric Bieniemy will be a head coach when a college hires him to be a head coach.
Which is pathetic.
And because I could see them saying, we got to go get a big name. You get an AD who swings and misses a couple of times. All right, let's go get the Chiefs offensive coordinator. We've seen that a lot in college football. I will tell you that the consensus, what I'm hearing a difference, and it's because there was some wild child in Eric Bieniemy's past.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was carried from place to place. I think it was a lot of things, but I think that was I've heard that. People don't want to talk about it, right? But I've heard that a number of different times. Now, is it just people making shit up to have an excuse for why they didn't hire him? I don't know. I haven't followed the guy around every day of his life. I will tell you, I've never really thought he was ready to be a head coach until this year. He handled his press conference much better, which to me is an indication of, can you handle the room? Can you handle adversity? Can you handle things that you don't see coming? And he has. He's handled it really well this year. And I do think by who I'm talking to, that there is a consensus that there is just no way that because of the Black Lives Matter movement and because his resume is indisputable, he will get hired this offseason, because the league may very well say, all right, you guys work it out. We don't care who it is. All of you interview him, but one is hiring him.
All right.
And so, but if he's not hired, then we've got real news, and somebody needs to get to the bottom of it. But I'll give you another one, Steve. Tell me why the Clemson defensive coordinator hasn't been a head coach.
I don't know. I don't know his background.
God, I'm trying to blank.
No, I'm saying I don't know. Is there some skeleton in the closet?
Yeah, well, there's rumors,
yeah.
Right? And let me give his name here real quick. I always forget because he was at Oklahoma before that. Brent Venables.
Yeah, Venables, yeah.
So there are, and so I asked somebody, why wouldn't K-State hire him, right, when they were making a hire? Why didn't K-State go get this guy? Because he coached at K-State with Bob Stoops, left K-State, went to Oklahoma with Bob Stoops at some point, went down to Oklahoma, has been a defensive coordinator at Oklahoma for years, defensive coordinator at Clemson. There's no way. Now, the guy is paid, I think, $2.5 million as a defensive coordinator.
So he's in the Dave Aranda situation where it's like he's making 2.5 at LSU, and then you know Baylor has to come along in desperation because Matt Rule bailed on him, and it's like, oh, okay, we'll pay him.
Chris Kleiman got a raise to where his contract's now going to average $4 million a year over the length of the contract, but before that he wasn't getting near it, right? Les Miles is making less as the head coach at Kansas. So there are plenty of jobs that will pay you less, will offer you less than that. So that is part of the job. But there are all these rumors, and I'm not going to go into it. I've heard 3 different rumors, and I've asked people, and I put it on the radio, and I said, look, I'm going to talk about this. I hear all these different rumors. I want somebody in Manhattan, Kansas to call up and tell me why Brent Venables shouldn't be a head coach, or I want all you people to shut the fuck up. I didn't say it on the radio, right? I'll say it on the internet.
Yeah.
Shut up about when I roll into Manhattan to watch a game and everybody tell me, well, Brent did this and he did that and he did this and he did that. Right?
Yeah. Our research king here, Brady, says the only scandal is you talking about it.
Yeah, because I'm the only guy. Like, I don't want to say I'm the only guy with the balls. I guess I am. I got frustrated with it. I'm like, listen, I'm tired of being in Manhattan, Kansas, and I'm tired of everyone around the program, and I'm tired of everyone around in the Big 12 being like, well, Brent Venables is never going to be a head coach. Well, then somebody explain why. Otherwise, this is an unfair character assassination of this man. Yeah. Like, he has earned the right to be a head coach. Or Brent Venables, I don't think he has to come out and say, I don't want to be a head coach. Maybe that's it. I suppose it could be it. But then stop with all the bullshit rumors around Manhattan, Kansas.
By the way, this is a brilliant comment, and it is one of the reasons I will never forgive Penn State for Sandusky, because no one really talks about this one. I'm talking about the community, right? Razorback Scoop, who's a little older than us, was saying, I wonder why Sandusky wasn't hired back in the 90s. Well, he was in line for the Virginia job and didn't get it, because my guess is not only did dozens of people around State College know what he was doing, diddling children, but it got out enough to the college football community. They're like,
right,
you can't, and then he quietly was pushed to the side and given a friggin' office. So I'm not going down this path, but the constant Joe Pa defense bullshit.
Oh, bullshit.
He knew about it. There's insurance claims back to the 70s that he was doing it. Joe Pa knew about it for 30 fucking years, but it was more important to win football games than save the kids of that community from this scumbag.
Yes. I mean, listen, it's the old casino line, right? When Mr. Rothstein comes down and the dipshit nephew of the gaming board guy who's running the slot machine section, and they've robbed the slot machines for the umpteenth time. And he comes out, I'm real sorry, Mr. Rothstein. I'm real sorry. I don't know what happened. He's like, get the fuck out. You're out. You're fired. No, you can't do this. My uncle's no, you're out. You're out. But I didn't know. I didn't listen. Either you're in on it or you're too stupid to fix it. Yeah. Either way, I don't give a shit. You're fucking fired. Right? Like, that's how it is with Joe Pa on that one.
Yep.
Either you're in on it and you knew and you're complicit, or you're too stupid to stop it. Either way, you're out. No, I got no time. And the NCAA tucking tail and pulling the restrictions on them, absolute bullshit.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And, and Penn State fans puffing their chest out. Fuck out of here. All right, let's we got a lot of football bets we want to make, but let's go through. We did not do well this last weekend. We had one winner. We got the Eagles. We were both on that one, and
which was, by the way, was a strong play.
I mean, it was a good play. Yeah, they were in the game the whole time. They were in the game the whole time.
I just want to at least say the one we got.
Yeah,
we didn't backdoor. There was no bullshit. It was a good play. Yeah.
And we lost on the Dolphins, and the Dolphins kicked 500 field goals, which sucked.
I'm fine with the Dolphin loss. I think that was a fine play.
The other ones are dog shit. We lost with the Cowboys. Shit. That was horrendous. And I've erased the other losses from my mind. We lost with the Texans, so at least we have the honor of we picked a team. They didn't cover, and the team was like, you know what, for Petro and Cofield, fuck you, you're fired.
Well, how about the fact that the Minnesota Vikings were sent home midweek? Like, for all the coaches and their schedule, and we can't have any disruptions, and you guys and your bullshit questions, you're just trying to bring us down. The Minnesota Vikings got sent home midweek, and they went down playing a Texan team that had to have it. 0-3, finally got a chance to win, finally a favorite, and they beat them. So I don't want to hear this coach's bullshit like every minute of every day, and I'm so swamped and I'm so busy. That's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. We lost with them. Terrible pick. But when you hear the Vikings are sent home midweek, I don't know how you don't think there's going to be problems there. So I don't hate myself on that one. We had the right side on the Dolphins. It just didn't happen. Eagles were good. We shit the bed. We didn't have the Browns against the Cowboys. That was a terrible pick. The Cowboys, I don't know what's going on. The Browns were there all day.
Yeah, and the other one was the Cardinals, and the Cardinals just came out of the gates like shit and really didn't even really make a run in the second half.
Did we have the Cardinals, really?
Oh, yeah, at the Panthers, yep.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was a terrible play.
I'm trying to think, what'd we skip? What'd we skip that actually came in? Anything? Nope. Lions plus, that sucked. Bucks minus, that was a push. Yep. And Petro, we've been stuck on this not putting the picks in too early with Thursday Night Football. Because you got to lock in all the picks, but you did like the Jags plus. So
we did. We also, let's point out the one big conversation we have is about the Chiefs. And I'll go back to what I've said. Before the year started, I said if we play the Chiefs every week, I don't think we're going to go any worse than 10-6. And I think there's a chance that it's even better. And I know there was the Cam Newton thing. And to be clear, so if you took the Chiefs or the Patriots and the game didn't get played, you get a 0 as opposed to a +1 or a -1. So it's in some ways it's like, okay, I can't lose, but you can't win. And so we built up, but we should have been on them again.
Yeah, especially with the if the game wasn't played, it was going to be a 0. So no matter what, at -7, you're getting value.
The problem is would we have taken the Eagles off the list?
No, that was my favorite pick. I would have pushed for that one.
I agree.
I started saying the Eagles from the beginning of the week, and I can prove it. I went on another podcast and said I like the Eagles. All right, so here's the numbers this week. This board is actually interesting. You got to see the second panel is unbelievable. Like every game is 7+. There's some 7s here too. Thursday night, I mean, the problem with COVID, right, and injuries, you can't play the Thursday night game because you got to put in the whole freaking card.
Yeah.
Do you like a side in this one regardless?
I can't figure out why it's that low. Like the Bucks are now being talked about as the best team in the NFC, so they should be laying more points than that. It's at the Bears. I lean to the Bears. Where are you? I don't think the Bucks are as good as they've looked the last couple of weeks, and I don't think the Bears are as bad as they looked last week. Nick Foles will play better.
Probably the Bears, but I'm
not putting in. I'm with you. We need the time to get more information. I'm not putting the whole card in on the Bears.
Should I just skip the Falcons? Because you know me with the Falcons.
Yes, the Falcons are shit. You cannot play the Falcons.
They
always look good. Every week, I'm with you. Every week they look good. Because you go, Matt Ryan and those receivers. You know what? Like, here's all you need to know about the Falcons. Did you see, first of all, they've got a defensive-minded coach and they can't play defense. Number 2, did you see the play Calvin Ridley? Anybody who had Calvin Ridley in their fantasy league? 0 catches. Julio Jones is down, 0 catches. But he's finally going to get one for a touchdown to close it to within 1 at the end. And Matt Ryan doesn't have enough on the ball to get it there before the DB. Wide open Calvin Ridley, sees it late, doesn't have enough mustard on the ball knocked away. That's who they are. They are not that good offensively. They put up all these numbers because they're always chasing, because they suck. The Falcons are virtually unplayable. Matt Ryan is not what he used to be, and what he used to be was never as good as everybody thought. And no, that doesn't that look like a gimme? Oh, the Falcons got to have it now.
Yep.
Well, how many weeks do they have to have it? How about maybe the Panthers? Maybe Rule is like pretty good.
I think Rule's really good. Can you bet? I know you've talked about betting the Chiefs the entire season, right? Hey, they're going to go 11-5, 12-4 ATS, or they're going to outpace the numbers all year. Can you bet the Chiefs -12.5 after you've seen Stephon Gilmore trying to make out with Pat Mahomes?
I will. Yes, if we get to Saturday night, when we get to the end,
right?
I would give it a go, because if they end up taking it off, then we don't lose. But I will tell you, the only way you bet the Chiefs in this one, if you're going to start playing the Chiefs every time out. Listen, quarterbacks and coaches, right? You can catch a spot. You want to bet a shitty team, make sure they're playing another shitty team. Like, you get shitty team versus good team, you better have a really good reason to take the shitty team. Now, the Raiders aren't a shitty team. That's a reason to take the Raiders. That's a reason to go against the Chiefs. I think this is too big a number in a divisional game with the Chiefs coming off the Patriots and looking ahead to the Bills. This is a classic letdown spot. And it's a short week. A short week you weren't planning on being a short week. But you can bet the Chiefs in this. But what it has to be is you're now going to bet the Chiefs every game the rest of the way.
Third cross-country trip for the Rams. They're laying 7 at football team. Football team is now making a change of quarterback, going to Kyle Allen.
I mean, no quarterback, no play. So do you like the Rams?
Not enough to lay 7. I didn't like what I saw last week against the Giants. So I'd be off this game.
It can't just be a bad day that they still found a way to win, and now they should play better.
I think Washington is going to rally with Kyle Allen in there.
Good football teams, which the Redskins are not,
right,
notoriously rally around a backup quarterback for one game.
Mm-hmm.
One game and one game only. Don't play it the next time. So if you catch, the Chiefs with Matt Moore, covered against the Packers and then beat the Vikings last year. Good team ride around the quarterback. They really ride around him twice. I think maybe it was the Vikings and then the Packers. And they won against the Vikings and lost to the Packers. There's a phenomenon. Everybody steps their game up, says we got to play better. The Redskins are not a good team, right? So changing the quarterback, there's no phenomenon going on there. I'm not buying it. You play the Rams, you get out, and I don't want the Rams either. I'm with you.
I think I want the Jaguars +6 against the Texans.
Why not?
They got the coaching change, so maybe everyone's happy now, but 6 is a ridiculous number. Come on.
2015 playoffs, Chiefs were going down to play the Houston Texans. Chiefs hadn't won a playoff game since 1993. And there's all this fear. Texans are playing really well. And I said, listen, Andy Reid plays chess. Romeo Crennel plays checkers. And Romeo Crennel is now the head coach of the Houston Texans. So they'll be playing a lot of checkers. And the season is lost. In a year that you thought you were going to be some big shit, I will say this. Romeo Crennel stepped in for Todd Haley when the undefeated Green Bay Packers came to Kansas City, and the Chiefs had one win, I think. And they pulled the upset on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers the year after, 2009, year after they had won the Super Bowl when they were 10-6. They were rolling. They were undefeated, I think 13-0, and the Chiefs beat them. And they rallied around Romeo Crennel. He's a popular guy, so there is that element there. But, no, I can't. The better quarterback is Deshaun Watson. For me, it's a stay away, but, what do you think? Are you on the Jags?
Yes, I'm on the Jags. Yep.
Okay.
I don't have the answer to this one. I know Brady's asked multiple times. I'll try to look it up, or I'll reach out to RJ Bell and see if he has, because that's kind of his thing. The 0-4 team, have you ever had an 0-4 team favored by 6 or more? So we'll try to find out. I don't want to say it, but I did like some of the fight that I saw in the Jets against the Broncos. I'm not saying it's a play, but I would not lay. The Cardinals they're kind of developing some inconsistency here, and especially, Kyler Murray. Like I said, I thought the Jets fought, and obviously they had a ridiculous play where Melvin Gordon bounced it off the line and then turned the corner to get the freaking cover. But, and the Jets came back from some down moments. So I think there's a little fight in them, even though everyone hates Adam Gase. I just don't. Cardinals on the road 7 is outrageous to me.
No, I wouldn't. I don't like the game. I think the play is the Jets if you got to play it. But I think the Cardinals. The mistake we made last week was not. There's a point in the season where you got to go back and say, what did I think of these teams before the year got started? Because with so few games, you start to react to just what's happened. I like the Browns over coming into the year. Remember we talked about the totals, and the Browns is one of my overs. And so I'm like, why have I been hesitant to be on the Browns lately? When I had them for an over, it's because they got their ass handed to them by the Ravens, and that has been sticking to my head, and I've missed opportunities with the Browns. And that was my big mistake last week with the Cowboys. Cowboys, I had as a 50-50 for the playoffs. So why am I laying points with the Cowboys against the Browns? That was just bad. That's all me. That's all on me.
All right, second panel. Why don't you go right to the Browns first? We'll go in order after that. But why are the Browns a dog against the Colts?
Because there's a misnomer that the Colts are really good. All right. And while I think we've won with the Colts, I know I've advanced in some suicide pools with the Colts, and I died with one of them in week 1 when they lost to the Jags. The Colts have the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL, and they are getting credit for, this is a great defense. But when you look at the quarterbacks they've played mush. right? Not that Baker Mayfield is Patrick Mahomes. He's not, but he's a competent quarterback. They don't really lose anything in the run game because Kareem Hunt is different kind of back than Nick Chubb, but he's still super effective. They're starting to maybe unlock Odell Beckham Jr. I still think there's the got to play hard for the first-year coach to prove myself mentality there. So I like the Browns, and I'd play the Browns on the money line.
Minshew, Cousins, Darnold, and Nick Foles. Those are the quarterbacks the Colts have faced.
And there's some names that have had some days a long time ago.
The Browns might be one of our plays, so we'll
I
go
like
with
the
that.
Browns.
Yeah. Steelers and Eagles. I wanted to jump ahead with the Eagles because, figuring, hey, the Steelers are going to be all effed up and now they're going to have this time off. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Would you take the Eagles +7 against the Steelers on all this rest?
I think this is either the Eagles win outright or the Steelers win this easy. I think this is a game that's probably got a really good side. I don't think it's fallen, 27-20 Steelers. My inkling, since I picked the Steelers to win the division, right? If I'm to listen to my own advice from what we should have done last week, I picked the Steelers to win the division over the Ravens. I think they're a really good team. I think their defense is fantastic. I think they will give Foles problems. I think the spread is just right.
Wentz.
So,
Wentz.
What did I say?
Foles.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Wentz. I would take the Steelers on this. I think this number looks too big. I think people start to think that the 49ers, hey, they beat the Niners. The Eagles are back. The Eagles are still a flawed team. The NFC still sucks. 8-8 might win that division this year. I like the Steelers. I don't know if it's one of our plays, but it's on my board.
All right. Yeah, some of the play calling down the stretch with the Eagles was mystifying. Now we're going to start mixing in Jalen Hurts and running fucking wide receiver this and quarterback flips and like.
Well, I'm always amazed when you bring a guy in and then you immediately, run the trick play.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they won't notice number 2 came on the field. Maybe they don't know, and they'll just think it's a wide out, and they won't pay attention to the fact that he's going to throw the ball and it's completely covered. Right? Everybody had it spotted. No, it's a lot of shines coming off Doug Peterson. I agree with you. The Eagles have more talent than they've shown to this point, but there are still big question marks.
I mean, their fatal flaw might be they're just the offensive linemen who have gotten hurt. They're done. So it's like there's not some light at the end of the tunnel. They are just done. So now they're playing with 2s there. And man, how about the receivers get healthy? So whoever that Fulgham guy was who had the big touchdown catch, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bengals. I think I'm on the Bengals here, +12.5 against the Ravens.
I think the Ravens, they push, depending upon when you got the game. I think it was 13 at one point, went off at 14. So if you got it late, it was a push. If you got in early in the week, the Ravens covered. But they were out big on football team. Here they get the Bengals coming in. I'm with you. I like the Bengals, but these are the games that kind of get out of hand. I think the Ravens are a team. They're Marty Schottenheimer. They chew up mediocrity, right? That's what they do. They're a power hitter that can beat 4th and 5th starters and middle relievers. And then when you got to face the top of the food chain, it looks a little bit different. And so I don't think the Bengals are the top. I think they can make plays, but I think Burrow is bad as much as he's good, and not that he won't get better. So I think you play the Ravens or stay away.
Dolphins +8.5 of the Niners.
Why is that number so big?
Well, Jimmy G could be back, and we know Jimmy G's he offers a lot of point differential between Mullins. Mullins did suck when it counted the most.
He didn't suck the week before.
No, I'm saying he sucked the most when he sucked when it counted the most, throwing the pick. But can I give a quick philosophy here on coaching and aggression on Brian Flores with the field goals last week? Bro, you're not getting fired. All right? Like the owner understands, the GM's your guy. They understand what's going on here, right? That it's a rebuilding deal, and eventually Tua is going to play. How about try to win fucking games? How about don't play it so that, hey, we're going to try to limit it, try to be in the game. Like, go for touchdowns. You're not getting fired. All right? Same thing. Like, the Matt Rule, the great one is Matt Rule, right? Matt Rule's down a gigantic weapon, but Matt Rule is it a 10-year contract or 8-year contract or 7, whatever it is?
Yes,
like, it's your first year, bro. You know what? Go for 4th down like every fucking time. Go for 2 every time you score a touchdown.
They are slowly coming out. Like you've seen the new thing, down 14 or down 21, score a touchdown, go for 2. Down 14, score a touchdown, go for 2.
Right.
With the thinking being that if you miss it, it's basically a 50-50 proposition. So you go for 2 again the next time, you still got a tie. But if you make it, you're kicking an extra point for the win. Right? That's new analytic thinking. The Lions did it against the Saints. Somebody else did it last week. I can't remember. That's new math analytic thinking. And coming out of the, I call it managing, but we see it more in baseball. Well, why'd you stick with your starter? I mean, this is Pedro Martinez, like the Martinez Yankees series in 04 is the biggest one, or 03 it was maybe. Oh, Pedro Martinez, you're not gonna, except for everything said, like over 100 pitches, he sucks. But a manager feels good saying, I stayed with a guy who's won 4 Cy Youngs. How can you reject that? Well, because he's not what he used to be, right? And same thing, like, well, why'd Anthony Lynn punted the Chiefs in overtime with a 4th and 1 in his own 34.
He did it again. He did it again against the freaking Buccaneers. Like, gave up the ball like 8 minutes left. It's like you never get the ball back.
Anthony Lynn has to be fired, not because he can't coach football a little. He could win a championship if Justin Herbert ends up being Tom Brady in his prime, which he won't be, by the way. And everyone can calm the fuck down on Justin Herbert, too. Okay? By the way, has anyone noticed, why is it like, when you first come in there, this guy's now God's gift to being a quarterback, and he's 0-3. At what point do wins matter? Because there are other guys that throw for 550 and they lose, like Dak Prescott. Well, that guy can't fucking win. Well, neither can Justin Herbert. So make up your goddamn mind what the standard is. Look, yes, I agree wholeheartedly. And I think there are guys, I give Andy Reid, like, there are a lot of factors that go into, like, can you stop somebody? Then there are times to play field position, right? If you can't stop anybody, then you should be going for almost every 4th down. Yep. If you've got a defense and they're not exasperated, if they're not just overly worn out, there's a reason to punt. Like all the, if you look at, if anyone Googles 4th down chart, right, online, you'll find one that, like, basically from your own 30 on, every 4th and 1 is a go for it. Maybe it's even your own 20. Every 4th and 1 is a go for it. And then 4th and 2 starts at like 25. And 4th and 3 starts at like the 32. And that kind of thing. That chart's good in theory, but it's based upon the math of the history of everybody not going for it on 4th down. And all the 4th downs that they got, that they use in that equation, are based upon teams that were going for it on 4th down, knowing they were going to go for it on 4th down every time, because all the 4th downs before now were done when you literally had to score on every possession.
Right.
So there is some conversation to be had there. However, yes, if your team sucks, go for it. You're probably going to lose anyway, so go for it. Fire the team up. Do something different.
It's also play calling in general. 3rd down sets up the 4th down. Obviously, that's football 101. But like being more aggressive on 2nd and 3rd, knowing that you're going to go for most 4th downs inside of like 4th and 4, kind of changes the attitude. When you're play calling on 2nd and 3rd. So I would love to see someone coaches get more aggressive, and especially the Dolphins are in a rebuild. Flores is going to be there. I mean, to possess the ball 33 minutes, you roll up 415 yards on the Seahawks and kick 5 field goals is just stupid. It really is. Go for wins. Giants and Cowboys, to me, this is a no play or Cowboys. No play or Giants. I'm not laying 9.5 with the Cowboys. I'm not, breakout game. They're angry, backs against the wall. I don't want to hear any of it. I'm not laying 9.5.
I'm with you. Giants or don't play.
We talked today, Adam Hill and I, about the approach of teams going into a bye week, especially with injured players. You saw that the Seahawks have already said no Jamal Adams. Now, I'm not saying they're tanking the game or, they're giving up a game here against the Vikings, but if they don't have everyone out there, it was also interesting today to see, I haven't seen this around the NFL, DK Metcalf and I think it was Tyler Lockett didn't practice today. The terminology was load management, which I think is fantastic. So what do you think here? Seahawks have a break coming up. Obviously, they want to win the game. Is this going to be close where the Seahawks win, but they can't cover the 7?
We saw that. That was the reason why a lot of people found themselves on the Falcons on Monday night.
Adams,
right? Because Devontae Adams and then Alan Lazard as well, not playing in the game. And so it's like, oh, yeah, we got an opportunity here. Listen, there's a lot more than just what the star players, than just what the fantasy football players are, right? The fantasy, I do think lines are driven somewhat by the fantasy players, and what's happening at the line of scrimmage is often forgotten. The Vikings secondary sucks, and it's young. It may grow to be better, but it's young. And the corners are young anyway. And so I think there is a perception, and the Seahawks might get burnt. They're like, hey, we can win without all our guys. Listen, beating the Houston Texans is the only thing the Vikings have on their resume, and they beat a team that was considering firing their head coach. So it's 7 for a reason. I think people want to believe, and the Vikings just seem to be every other year. They seem to be fairly schedule driven, and they're playing the second place schedule, and they're not living up to it. And the Seahawks are no joke. And so, Kirk Cousins is not looking like the old Kirk Cousins. I know Jefferson is getting numbers, and he did have a 100-yard game in a game that they won. The week before was all, oh, by the ways, chasing a big deficit. This is a difficult one. I want to believe in the Vikings offense because there is personnel there, and when they get up, they can give Dalvin Cook the ball, and then they're the offense they want to be. But do you think they get up on the Seahawks?
I'm not confident in that. No. So I'm more with you on the Seahawks.
Okay.
The update on the Saints and the Chargers, it's 7.5. It's Monday night. There's been talk of, hey, they might have to go to Indy because of Hurricane Delta. I spoke to my experts today in New Orleans, and they said no problem. The game's not going to be moved. They're good to go.
Really? How do they know?
Well, let's see. Mike Triplett, I didn't talk to him, but ESPN said New Orleans Saints don't anticipate relocation of Monday Night Football game due to hurricane.
Even though the day before LSU up in Baton Rouge is going to Columbia, Missouri.
Well, the path, but the original path of Delta was like right over Baton Rouge, and it's 70 miles to the west. I'm joking about my source. My source is a lady at a hotel that we have a timeshare at, and I called her about this weekend, and she was like, we're all good. We're good.
Oh, well, why? Yeah, because they don't want your money or anything. They're not going to blow smoke up your ass for
no. It's a timeshare. They have the money. Whether we go or not, they have the money.
You're in a time. Can we just back up? Why are you in a timeshare?
I'll explain in a second. Let me get to the
like what the Airbnb is too much of a fucking mystery for you.
I'll explain. But when I called her, I was like, hey, we're because for the audience hasn't been following the New Orleans saga, I'm supposed to go on Saturday. And when I talked to her, I was like, well, I mean, our flight will probably be delayed, right? You're going to get hit. And she's like, no, what time are you coming in? Like 11 o'clock on Saturday night. She's like, no, you're good. You're good. I was like, all right. So I trust her.
I mean, obviously we've already established that I'm 95th percentile in COVID, so I don't foresee me flying until 2022.
Right.
So,
but I tell you at the beginning of the show that I'm good on COVID, but I'm going to drop into like the 25th percentile. I'm rolling the dice, rolling them all.
Comment. And you're not getting any younger, and you're not getting any thinner.
I'm not. I'm also doing road shows every fucking day here in town.
I know.
And again, that should actually have me minimizing my risk outside of work, but. I don't know, the way I look at it, New Orleans just opened up a little bit more. It's not, the bars are not open. You can get to-go cups, but
so why are you going?
Well, because most of what we do is bar hop and eat and walk. So that means we're going to be outside more, distance from people, walking. And if we are inside,
open.
The bars are open, but they just opened up on Thursday. So the bars are open, but you basically can go up to, I think, to a window. Or you can go inside for a second and get a to-go cup. You can't hang out inside.
Okay.
So.
All right. I'm rooting for you, buddy.
Thanks, man. Well, there's another factor here, and you deal with this factor. I'm not making the decision by myself. Someone hasn't been on a vacation in like 8 months. So someone is getting antsy.
In my house, it is now at 11 months, 10 and a half.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good vacation, though. I'll tell you, like, there's no bitching. I'm not listening to anybody bitch. Maui Invitational, last November, Thanksgiving. Yeah. So I don't want to hear it from anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. We were, our plans this year, thanks to COVID, our plans this year were a trip to New Orleans. And then she was going to meet me either probably for the Maui Invitational because UNLV's in it. And I was going to be in Hawaii twice this year with UNLV football at Hawaii and then UNLV basketball at the Maui. The Maui Invitational is now in
North Carolina,
the lovely mountains of North Carolina in Asheville. So,
which I mean, it's like,
by the way,
I guess being in an enclosed tube for 3 hours is safe, but not from Vegas. What, 6 hours, 4.5 hours? That's not safe. Okay. Yeah. Somebody explain that to me.
My favorite part of traveling with UNLV, and it is a cool gig, but is when we do get to travel to other towns and stay at a casino.
Oh, it's the best. Paid for trip.
People hate this in Vegas. I have said that every time I've gone to Reno, which there's a big rivalry, people think, Reno's a hellhole, and it kind of is. But I've had a good time in Reno every time I've gone.
There's nothing wrong with Reno. It's not a hellhole. It's just not Vegas. It's
last time I went, I almost got 86 from a bar, and a chick bartender wanted to beat the fuck out of me. So,
cool. Like, it's my world's different. Like, I go to I didn't go this year, right? But I go to the American Century.
Thanks, Sean. I think you're being genuine there. Thanks, man. I appreciate it that my vacation got ruined. Truth is, I'm going into the belly of the beast in dirty New Orleans, so nothing's going to ruin my vacation except when I die a month from now.
Yeah. So I go every year to the American Century Championships in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. Along with like Hawaii. And I like Kauai and Maui, Kauai being the most beautiful thing I've ever seen tropically. This is the most beautiful thing, and I've never been in the Swiss Alps or anything, so maybe I'll stand back and say something. But Lake Tahoe, Nevada, South Lake Tahoe, most beautiful scenery ever. I get to go every single year and broadcast from the American Century Championship, the celebrity golf tournament there.
Really cool.
And every year I want to sit up, and I took my wife, right, back before she was my wife, when we were talking about rings and she knew the engagement was coming. Right? She had picked it out. Who am I shitting? I mean, she'd picked out the ring, so she knew she was getting it. She went then, right? I didn't give her the ring there. I later took her to Hawaii and gave her the ring there. But when she went, and I have asked, like, hey, you want to go? You want to come up for the weekend? We'll stay. I'll take some days off before or after. And she's like, oh, God, no. It's such a bitch to get there. No, I'm not going. It's like, you talk about like, oh, you got these opportunities? Like, I'm like, hey, half the trip's paid. I'm going for free.
Right.
Like, you come, all we got to do is pay. Oh, God, no, I can't. Changing planes in Reno, changing planes in Vegas and then renting a car in Reno. Oh, shit, no, I'm not doing that.
It's tough. Right. It's tough. I know.
All right. Okay.
You can see some of the comments here. The outside of the state, people don't realize the rivalry between Southern Nevada and Reno.
What's wrong? I've never spent, I'll land there and have a meal, wait for somebody else who's flying in, grab them, and then go up to Tahoe. I've never spent the night in Reno, but I've never been sitting in Reno going like, holy shit, man, this place sucks.
It's just, it doesn't compare to Vegas, but it's like any other town that's kind of, they really haven't updated it much since the 80s. So the casinos are like from the 80s. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. I kind of like grungy. So we have Laughlin, around here, it's like Big Laughlin. It's fine. I every time I go there, I have a good time. Listen, it's funny. I just talked about it last night. I miss a lot of old Vegas. I liked grungy Vegas back in the 90s into the early 2000s. I wish I was here in the early 90s or the 80s. So for me, there's some parts of Reno that are cool. Like, I never gamble here. Generally, I will gamble. I'll go and play some Pai-Gow and, drink 10 beers and, freaking stumble back to the hotel or fall in whatever they call that river there in Reno, and it's fine. I like grungy. That's why I like New Orleans.
I had to gamble. I hung around. I came down to the airport to fly out from the tournament, and they're like, your plane's delayed like 8 hours. So we went over to casino, and I played and won like $900. Like, I had no beef with Reno. None.
Yeah.
They have a Del Taco, don't they? Right?
somewhere.
You have an In-N-Out? What's the bitch?
I think there's a place in the casino area that served like a monster burger. I think they may have just closed though. But it was a bitch to get that thing down.
Well, unfortunately, what restaurant hasn't closed?
Yeah, not good.
No.
Ooh, it is. I will say the campus appears to be more like a college or a college town than UNLV right now. So I'll give you that. But yeah, people hate it here. Like Reno, biggest little shithole in the world. So they people here. Let's see what where is it? Oh, that's a Truckee River. That's a river, huh? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but they killed that hooked in Reno. Okay. I don't know, man. I've already said, because most of the Mountain West, the Mountain West cities are kind of unique, and there are some like really methy, shitty areas. Like Albuquerque and Fresno are not the best, but you know what? I make the best of it. I can find a good time. That's good time, Stevie.
Dude, do they have Corona? Do they have Jim Beam?
Yep.
Like, do they have a TV?
I'll say this now.
And Wi-Fi? I'm fucking good.
The places that I am the most afraid of, and I really feel like an outsider in, because I've actually got like dark hair, and I'm not going to go any further than that and insult the people. But the places that I'm like, is Logan, Utah, for Utah State, and I'm Colorado State, which is, Fort Collins is what, north of Denver. It creeps me out, man. And Wyoming to a certain extent too. Laramie, like I'm not an outdoor person. I'm not blonde. I won't go down the path of other religions and stuff. I just don't. It's not my cup of tea. I have a good time when I go, but it's weird, man. It's different.
Yeah, like you said. I mean, if you're 40-something years old and you can't find a good time, what the fuck's wrong with you? I mean, good Lord. Yeah. What do you need? A roller coaster? Need somebody in a dog suit? I mean, what's your problem, man?
Meth head mentioned. Yeah. I mean, Albuquerque's they're grungy towns, man. I'll admit it. Albuquerque and Fresno and Reno.
I used to stay in Albuquerque when I was driving back and forth between Vegas and Kansas City. Like if I was changing cars, like I remember a couple of different times I got a car, gave a car to my mom. I was moving cars back and forth, and so I made that drive between Kansas City and Vegas more than a person should make it. And I stopped in and stayed the night in Albuquerque, and I had nothing against the town, but that was good enough for me. I felt like I saw it all.
This I'll say that I've never been to Provo, but I feel this sometimes, like the non-blonde thing in those states. It's weird. I will say I rode off Salt Lake before I went there. If you hang out in the bar district and restaurant district in Salt Lake, it actually is really good because they built it up during the Olympics. That it's actually, and a lot of stuff you can walk to. It actually is kind of a cool city. So a little more progressive than we'll say the rest of the state.
Did you have to join a club?
Oh,
to drink?
No, they got rid of that. The only way they were going to be able to host the Olympics and really do it up and entertain people, they over time they've gotten rid of the club bullshit. I will say though, and it's not a big deal. I did notice at one of the bars I went to, if you came up and you tried to order for like a group of 6 behind you, they were like, every single person has to come up, and every single person has to come up and order. The other thing is, I still felt like they were a bit repressed because I was, say I'm around, I'm kind of watching like 50 different people, 20 people at the bar, and people walk up. Man, they drink hard liquor. Like they do not drink beer in Salt Lake. At the bar I was at, they were like, they're there to get fucked up. Like I was there to just sip a couple of beers, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, every person here is a mixed drink, and it's like rapid fire. Like we got to get drunk. Like, okay, I guess.
Beautiful town, I hear.
It was very nice, and the transportation around the city is pretty cool. They had like, good local kind of local business mom and pop shops. I hope they're still open. So
my experience in Salt Lake City is changing planes.
Yeah,
looks good. Looks good from where I was sitting. Looks like a pretty town.
It's I found it to be cool, and I know you've gotten a lot of benefit out of the job and travel and stuff. There's a lot of places I would never go to, and I would write off as like this place, and so you get to see it and you see what it's like, and there's a lot of underrated places out there.
Well, you talk about underrated, so give me an underrated place that we haven't already mentioned. Because
I actually didn't mention in the conference. I think Boise's actually a cool little town with a lot of bars. They're big foodies there. I thought that place was pretty cool. Man, if I go way back, I'm trying to think places that I like in college or MMA when I was covering USC and traveling all over the place.
Don't tell me like Perth or something.
No. It was not international. Like, you know what I thought was a pretty cool town, and actually a lot cleaner. And it's going back like 25 years now. I don't think it's turned into a shithole. But actually, Pittsburgh was kind of cool. Believe it or not.
Pittsburgh's a good town.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll give you on the same front as Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh's a good town. I'll give you the same one, Indianapolis. Like downtown Indianapolis. Like, have you been down there for Final Fours, Super Bowl? Indianapolis is a good town.
I liked it. Yeah,
they're downtown. Everything's right there. You can walk. You can do whatever. I think that's a good spot. I also think go a little smaller. Like if you ever have to do something in Omaha, I got love for Omaha. I mean, I've been in Kansas City, and I've never been to Omaha until a couple of years ago. And I've been, we went, you and I, yeah, that's right. You went with me to see NCAA tournament game.
Yeah.
Dude, you didn't think the area is pretty cool? Everything's close downtown. They got bars. They got shit going on. They got Creighton. They got a university right there, so there's some college atmosphere to it.
I had a good
zoo,
time.
By the way.
What's that?
Great zoo. The gorilla house is phenomenal.
I had a good time there, but I got pretty whacked. I don't think you guys were paying attention because we drank a lot of.
I brought into the game.
Well, we drank a lot of beers before. Then I actually did have some weed lozenges with me, so I took one of those.
I did not know that.
Then you guys had it was like 90-10 liquor to mixer drink in the arena, and eventually I just walked downstairs.
I was your bartender, and we're not fucking around.
I walked downstairs because I'm like, I want a closer seat. Like by myself, I left all you guys upstairs, and I sat down like amidst a family. And the dad came back and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And he was like, it was like a real belligerent moment, but I was like so whacked. I'm like, all right, I got up. And then, but I will tell you, leaving the arena because it started raining. And we went on.
Pretty good for as messed up as you're claiming.
Oh, I remember. Well, because I was scared shitless because we walked outside and we're going down the stairs and it was raining. It was getting a little slick. And I was like, oh my God, like every step. Cause I just envisioned myself like hitting it and just like going right down the stairs and just, sliding 400 feet. So
I may or may not have taken a gainer like that down my own stairs the other day during a show. I do the show from the house, and it's like, a tape segment. Okay, it was Chiefs pregame. I got 8 minutes. I got the guys coming over. Let me go move the furniture around so everybody's like distance. And then I wasn't paying attention. I was late on the time. I tried to hustle back, ass slide all the way down. Yeah, good times.
Oh, that you know what? I'll tell you my other problem with the Mountain West Conference cities. Last year I fell twice in the cold weather. Like I'm getting old. I fell flat on my face in Logan. I was walking. I'm on my phone. I had a curb, and I was like, next thing I know, I'm on the ground. I'm like, okay, that hurt.
So one thing about that Omaha trip, which was a baseball weekend, fantasy baseball weekend, and Syracuse got sent up to Omaha, Sweet 16 game playing Duke, and then it was whatever year that then Duke lost to Kansas in the Elite Eight, and Kansas went back to the Final Four. We went up there. And, we had the drama with our buddy Chuck. There's always drama with Chuck, right? So that was always fun to deal with. But that's where I realized Duke fans genuinely are a titanic fucking pain in the ass.
Yep.
Like, oh my Lord, do they suck? That's my one takeaway.
Yeah.
And by the way, even in the stands, I can pour a drink.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was looking back on the UFC travel because I traveled a bunch from like 2006 to 2011, and I'm looking through all the cities. I really never had a bad time anywhere. Like I think you have to be a real sourpuss to go places and just take like a shitty attitude. Because I'm a bar guy, so I'm even in the crappiest town. If I can find one of the local bars and it's a dive bar, I'm like,
yeah, I'm good.
This is great. This is great.
I'm good. So flip it around. Give me a town that sucks. Maybe a town that people wouldn't think. I got a town that like I need to give it another try. I'm not going to say that the town sucks, but I'm going to tell you that my experience is it sucks.
Go ahead and give it to me. I'll try to think and.
All right, you think. Well, all right. So 2003, January of 03. So it's the 02 season. Ravens, Giants. No. January of 01. When did the Ravens win the Super Bowl? The Ray Lewis one against the Giants.
Let's go, Room. Chime in.
That was 2000 season, January of 01. That sounds right to me. 2000 season, January of 01. I'm in Tampa for the Super Bowl, and I got a buddy down there. Got to go to Ybor City. That was the year that they pushed back their Gasparilla Festival, which is their equivalent of Mardi Gras, right? Yeah. The Festival of the Pirate. They push it back to coincide because there's not enough shit going on with the Super Bowl. Let's also do this. So I go to Ybor City, and I'm like, okay, this is a cool area, right? It's their it's a junior version of Bourbon Street. No. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. Then I leave. They close the bars at like some ridiculously kind of early hour for like a Super Bowl weekend, like Florida town. And 500 people are waiting at an off-ramp for every cab that comes down. This is pre-Uber, obviously.
Yeah.
And I had to pay like $250 for a limo to take me somewhere. And halfway there, the guy's like, get out. The guys I'm actually here to drive are calling me. I got to get out of here. Get out or I'm calling the cops. And I had to stay in some Roach motel that night and then get a cab the next morning. I walked like 3/4 of a mile to find some shithole motel and stay there and then get up the next morning and take a cab back to my hotel. I don't get it. And my buddy Archie, he's moving to Tampa at some point. When he retires,
really?
Tampa's where he's going. I'm like, dude, you got to show me what you've seen because I'm not fucking seeing it. I've done spring training in Orlando and then come over to Tampa, like back when the Royals did spring training in Orlando, and I would drive over for different games and I'd be around that shithole dome and everything. And I'm like, I'm not getting it. I don't see it. Like I'm clearly missing something here.
All right. Well, I was kind of hoping
Tampa.
I'm not. It's not like one of my favorite places. It's too spread out. That's the problem. Like I like staying out. Like if you're staying in Clearwater, it's cool. But Tampa's weird. I will say this about Tampa. The Florida. I mean, who knows what they're doing right now? The Florida strip clubs are kind of badass, and I don't know if they changed the rules, but the whole concept of the cheap friction dance. I was like, wow, this is. I'll tell you, you know what? One of the most underrated cities. God, I love telling these stories because it's like a whole new audience, and they probably sucked the first time around. But in college, I went up to UMass a couple of times, which is in Springfield, Mass, and like New Jersey is probably the worst state in the country for strip clubs. Maybe I don't even know what they have in Utah. Nothing, but for the population and the amount of money and the word lecherous people and all that. New Jersey strip clubs are terrible. And I went to Springfield when I was in college, and I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. First of all, you can get liquor, and the chicks are nude, right? And this is like 25 years ago. But the amount, like, it's funny. At the end of the show, beginning of the show, I was gonna tell the story you always used to tell about. It's more like relations and the hard hat, right? Like putting on the hard hat. Like I put on the hard hat. I'm a hard worker when it comes to sexual relations. These women, like, you would throw them a fucking $1, and it was like a 7-minute show in front of you, naked. I'm like, does anyone else here tip? You cheap Massachusetts bastards. But like, I was like, this is great. Back in New Jersey, they're like, hey, here's a bikini. Here's like half my nipple. All right, give me a 10. Like, okay, I guess. So I went up there. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Sorry, old strip club stories from when I was 21.
Yeah, good times. Good times. I'd tell you about the Syracuse strip clubs, but it's a painful memory. Listen, Fort Myers, like I don't mind the Gulf side of Florida. Like I actually like the Gulf side of Florida, right? But like I just don't see it in Tampa.
Dude, it's quiet. I lived there as a kid. We don't have to get into this whole story because it's been.
No, you've already told it.
Yeah, we've already talked about the butcher shop, and I joked often when LeBron was on the Heat. I'm like, oh yeah, I was a Heat fan from a kid, and people are like, they just started like 12 years ago, asshole. You weren't. You're old. Fort Myers, Naples and Fort Myers it's a retirement area. I mean, for the most part, it's quiet.
I just said, like it is what it is. I will say this, somebody, I think Big Chief said Super Bowl's in Tampa this year. I know. I didn't stay in Miami because I've been fortunate enough to get sent to the Super Bowl every year. And so I'm always there and I always go home. I haven't stayed for a Super Bowl since that was Raiders, Bucks, January of 2003 in San Diego. That was the last time I stayed for the game. But my buddy Archie loves Tampa, and I'm like, and that's who I go to road Chiefs games with. I'm like, I'll roll the dice that I'm back here in Tampa next year. He loves going, and the Chiefs play at Tampa this year, and now there's like no fans. Like we try to hit a road Chiefs game every year. So I'm like, well, we can do Tampa or New Orleans. Chiefs play at New Orleans and at Tampa this year. Like, I know Tampa's not that great. My buddy loves it, so we could go, and then we got the Super Bowl in Tampa. This will be the best. I'm like, nah, I'm bailing on Miami. Didn't stay.
But I will say one of the worst places I've been to was in was it Omaha proper, or where was that riverboat that we had to stop at before we went?
We might have been on the Iowa side, like in Omaha.
We were
the river, and
yeah,
I forget.
We were because we were trying to kill time, and the bar's like, yeah, here's a big beer. You can get the next one in an hour. I'm like, I hate this place more than I've hated anywhere on the face of the earth. Like I'm sort of on vacation. It's Council Bluffs. Yeah, I'm on vacation, and I one beer. Really? You know how quick I'm gonna.
But that's the thing is, I got pissed and left, and I went to the bar, and they looked the other way.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, that's why I don't know why you guys sat there.
I don't know. I don't know the rules in the Midwest. I don't.
No, that was bullshit. I'm not down with that either. I got your back 100% on that.
And apparently,
that was in Omaha.
I will avoid a trip to Manhattan because UNLV is probably going to play at K-State to make up for the game they played here. So, am I missing anything?
Yeah, you are actually. Aggieville, if it's full go, if we're not in a pandemic, Aggieville, Manhattan's a good college town. I mean, it's strong. It's like the college is the town, and it's it's not 500 people. It's like I don't know. Somebody can look up the population, but the college is the centerpiece of the town. And the Aggieville bar district, the college is big enough that there's plenty of bars. And Aggieville's, I'll stick up for, everyone who's a Jayhawk will be like, shit, sucks. And everyone who's a Wildcat fan will say Massachusetts Street, Lawrence sucks. But they're both good college towns, The difference is Manhattan's set way, Lawrence is almost a glorified suburb of Kansas City. Like you drive for 25 minutes where there's nothingness, right? Maybe 20 minutes. Right. And there's still some exits for some little towns in between. Lawrence, there are people that live in Lawrence and drive into work every day in KC. Manhattan's a couple hours down the road, but it's a good college town.
All right.
Good college town. Columbia is a good college town for Mizzou. I think we got 3 good college towns within 2 hours. And Manhattan's probably hour 45.
Maybe I'll make it there someday.
Some people will tell you it's an hour, but, they're riding with me.
Yeah, I've been in that position before. The trip goes fast.
It didn't take long to get to Omaha, did it?
Yeah, trip goes fast. And you know what? If Petro doesn't like the car, then he's getting a new car. So experience that one going to the Super Bowl in San Diego.
We got a better car, didn't we?
We got a lot better car, yeah.
Yeah.
That car we got originally, man, I think it was effed up. The brakes, the smoking and burning. I don't know what was wrong with that car. Needed to be repaired.
No, remember I told the guy it was a transmission. It just had brand new brakes. Like your brakes will smell. So we went around stomping on the brakes, and I took it back and said, "Listen, the transmission's burning up. You got to give me a new car." Oh, I'm sorry. So they gave you like the top of the line Cadillac or whatever. Back then, Chrysler had like some Cadillac version or something, and he gave me that. I was like, "Watch this. We're gonna stomp on the brakes. We're gonna tell this guy the transmission's burning up." I go, "You smell that?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I do. Here, let me get you." I'm sorry. And we had a better car because remember who we yelled at?
Who?
We're going to one of the team hotels, and we're driving over. That was Packers Broncos, Elway Favre, in San Diego, and we're driving over, and we pull up. We're side by side with somebody, and we're going to the team hotel for their all the press conferences and everything. And we look over and there's a guy who's somewhat known sometimes as kind of an ass. And I looked over, I go, oh shit, dude, you're driving this? I thought you were big time. Were you not in the car for that?
I don't remember that. No, I do remember you doing something like, who was it?
They had just like the normal, like, your normal, Oldsmobile Buick, Oldsmobile Toyota, rental car. And we had the big fancy, car. And I looked over and I go, holy shit, man, you're ESPN, you're big time. Like I'm this no name radio asshole. Look at, how did I get a better car than you? You don't remember who it was? No. Sal Palantonio.
Oh, now that I know you did that, that's awesome that you did that to Sal Pal, because he's so fucking hypersensitive. He's turned into a lunatic as he's gotten older. I watched that guy at the World Series back. I love that we remember these stories. It was probably, man, it was might have been the Padres World Series against the Yankees, and I just walked like by Sal Palantonio, and he was just annihilating like someone who was working with him, and I'm like, what a dick. And then I'm like, wait, I do that every day to Ari. So what?
I'm
how
going to say that
judgmental can I be?
I've heard more than one story that Sal Pal. No.
I've heard plenty. Yeah, he's cunty. He's cunty.
By the way, Nashville not overrated. However, my experience in Nashville was being there as the conquering, hero. And when the Sharks closed out the Predators in a hockey game, so me and Schultz went down there, and I had a strong time downtown Nashville. I'm good with Nashville.
Yeah, it's a good place. Any place that's got dozens and dozens of bars and it stays open pretty late. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have very few complaints. Very few complaints.
No.
Yes. No. Thanks, Ari. You're right. The soul crusher. I gave you inspirational words after the show today. We had some gaffes on the show, and then as soon as I got home, I was like, "Yeah, we didn't do that giveaway," and that was it. I dropped something we fucked up during the show just to, give them a little motivation for tomorrow. Let's be better.
There was an inspirational moment with Jed the other day.
Is that right?
A little, show sheet was kind of right. Like, it's kind of what we live by, Yeah.
We've had issues. You know what? I won't do this now. We've had issues with. We're getting Raider audio kind of late, right before the show. We've had issues with labeling. So, when you throw to Paul Gunther and you're like, "That's Nick Kwiatkowski," or Ari.
Yeah, do you wear it when you screw it up?
Say it again.
Do you wear it when you screw it up? Because we have a Google Docs for sound.
Yeah.
And so we just put the sound on, and the old sound just keeps getting pushed down and down and down and down, right?
Right.
And so you'll be scrolling through, and Curtis will put if there's 7 Chiefs cuts, and then and we label them the whole day. We just keep adding 1 through however many we end up that day. And I went back and I looked for an old, but sometimes you're like, oh, 2 days ago we had this cut. That's perfect for what this is. And I'll be text or talking the talk back. Jed, get me, Chris Kleiman, K-State coach. Chris Kleiman, 24. It's 24. And, from Tuesday, right? And he'll pull it up or whatever. So I'd rolled back, and then it was time. We were going through this thing we call Need to Know, and it's all the big stories of the day. And so I'm looking for the K-State cut, and I'm like, okay, here it is. And it's I look down at what we wrote down. It's number 8, or the Chiefs cut. It's number 8. I read the throw to number 8. It's number 8 from 2 days ago. And there's silence. Yeah. And I'm like, maybe, I'll tell you what, maybe he didn't say that. You try to make a joke. Ha, ha, ha. And, Jed's trying quickly in my ear, right? Because there's only so much you can hear while you're talking. That was Tuesday sound. What? You're getting ready to just go batshit. And you're like, oh, yeah. Okay, never mind. Threw to a cut that was 2 days old. Yeah. I need number 8 for today, not number 8 for 2 days ago.
Yeah. I screwed it up today, but we're in our defense. We're also on the road 80% of the time, so to execute it is not as easy. So, but I like Mark's comment. If Mark knew how we operate versus how Kansas City operates, I think you'd get a better understanding of.
There's not much difference.
No, I just mean in terms of I don't know. I'm not going to make excuses. So
yeah, yes.
We face.
I know what you're saying.
You guys face challenges. We face some challenges too. So. It's not always what you want. So you make the best of it.
One day, listen, if you will just send a simple donation to this podcast, then we will make this our sole work, and we will tell you all the stories.
Right.
One day when that happens, you get all the shit.
I'm sorry. Our biggest problem is that I refuse to recognize the limitations some days, and I'm like, we can do 5,000 things, and we got a little out of sorts today, so it happens.
Life happens.
I know.
Look, that's what I tell my kid, because they're not old enough for me to tell them shit happens, so I tell them life happens.
Buck up, deal with it.
That's right.
Find a way to get around it, right? What do you always say?
How much sauce they give you? Yep. How big a bite? How much sauce? Everybody's taking a bite of the shit sandwich, Steve. Yep. Everybody's taking a bite of the shit sandwich. Bottom line is, how much sauce do they give you to go down? How big a bite do they make you take? It's bottom line. That's life. We're all taking a bite of the shit sandwich.
Believe me, Battleborn is very generous already. They're not going to fix the staffing issues.
Come on, Justin.
Yeah, come on.
Spend some money. Wouldn't have these problems.
He is spending. He's got us out in his building a couple of days a week. So we're believe me, we're very grateful for the people. On a serious note, we are, and I know you are. We're incredibly grateful for the people who, from March through, basically August, actually spent money when there was no sports going on. They're amazing. Like, we owe them a lot, because I don't know if people follow radio, but a lot of the big corporations, they blew out Host. They didn't even give it a chance. They were just like, no, we're not going to succeed. So screw it. Everyone's fired. So our buildings didn't do that.
No. I got so many people. Like, I'd start rambling off all our sponsors that were hanging with us during that. Worth Harley North, Robert Brogdon Buick GMC, Family Leisure, Easton Roofing. Oh my God. All Weather Decks. So many great sponsors that are committed to Kansas City. And I know they're committed to local radio, which is what everybody wants, right? So many great companies. The guys, Corona, the distributors of Corona were fantastic and hung with us. It was tough times, right? It's tough times for everybody. I mean, we've
had Casino step up to have us out for these live shows, right? Silver Sevens. We're going to start doing every Friday at TI and Westgate and all these places, and like they're down like 70%. So they don't have to do this.
Yeah, Henhouse grocery stores, which, by the way, all their employees. I know Bob, my buddy, who's one of the managers. Oh, dude.
Do you have anyone selling any plots of land? Did they try to sell? What's the where do you love the vacation? What is it again? The Ozarks?
No, I don't vacation in the Ozarks. That is a big, like, people have houses down there. Yeah. Like, it's nobody's business. Like, the show Ozarks, like, if you watch like the first episode and he describes it, there's more shoreline in the Ozarks than California.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, because it's like basically a winding river with all these tributaries that they flooded. And so, like, listen, the Ozarks, like, you watch that show, like, the Ozarks had a record year this year. They had a record year. Like, remember, like, early in at the first 3-day weekend, was it Memorial Day? They had the thing with the party going on at the Ozarks. Yeah. People started coming from California, New Jersey, New York to go see it. The show obviously contributed.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That it was actually it's like Jersey Shore. Like, all of a sudden, everyone wants to go to Dumpy Seaside Beach and Seaside Heights.
Everybody wants to go see that, and they saw that, and then, like, all the housing, like the prices, all the houses shot up, and there are some, like, mansions. There's some shit down there, man. But it's like, it's this narrow, winding, twisting, turning, narrow lake. And, like, if there wasn't a ton of people, you'd be like, oh yeah, this lake's great. And then everyone down there has got a 35+ foot boat, and there's these power boats, and then they've rocked in all the sides. So it's basically a bathtub with, like, 2 and 3 5-liter motors roaring through. Like, if you don't have a 30-foot boat, don't get your ass out there. Because, like, you get swamped. I had to pull a lady out who got swamped on a jet ski.
I heard.
And couldn't get herself out.
I heard you were the big hero. Yeah.
I was. Thank God I have. I put my life vest on. I had my life vest for, like, when I jet skied, and I put it on, or whatever it is now, Sea-Doo or whatever. And I was going to dive in. I'm like, I can save her. I'm a great swimmer.
Yeah.
I was like, let me get my life vest.
Yep. Well, it's funny.
Standard on a jet ski.
I think it was JB and I think we were talking about what you were saying about the Ozarks, that people are out there on the water and they think it's really easy to swim, and it's actually harder to swim there than say in an ocean. It's like you're shocked all of a sudden because of so much boat traffic.
The waves, like, there was a lady who was not a good swimmer, and she was a large lady, and she took her kid out on a jet ski, and it got capsized because of the waves. She didn't know what she was doing and how big the waves are, and she got capsized. And she had the life vest was like coming up off her, and I had to kick and hold her up out of the water. We had to get like a lily pad. I don't know if you know what those are. Like, think like a wrestling mat that's like, 10 by 20 that like everyone can get up on. Some water comes up on it, but it floats.
Right.
We had to get a wrestling mat under her, or a lily pad under her, and then get her to the side and then hoist her out of the lake. Like, it's
God,
like,
I wouldn't. Yeah.
there's like deaths every year. You know what the best about the Ozarks is? Like, everyone has these fancy docks, and then the wiring's not so good, and there's like 4 or 5 electrocutions every year.
Sure. That's how they're killing people on the show. Real quick, someone was just we have a client here. She hasn't advertised in a little bit, but Audrey, and she's got a New York accent, and her number is 1-800 the land, and she just says the number 500 times. She actually cut back on it, but I was in the car the other day. It's probably like 2 months ago, and she was on. I'll see if this is going to play or not. If it's going to be loud enough.
These are very rare, and if 10 acres is plenty of land for you, make sure you set aside Saturday, July 25th. Learn more at 800theland.com, then call 800-THE-LAND for an early appointment Saturday, July 25th. That's call or click 800theland.com.
See, people in the chat line or chat room are reacting because that's not the way she used to do it. I think someone finally told her, like, you in a 60, you can't say the number 27 times because she would just be like 800 the land, 800 the land, 1-800 the land, 800. Like, holy cow! Look, everyone. The thing is, people mock on it, but this is what great radio advertising means. Like, people remember it like 3 years later because she freaking did it all the time. So it actually worked.
It worked. It worked perfect. She's a genius.
Legendary.
You're an idiot.
All right, everybody, we're going to wrap it. Thanks for sticking around so long. That was awesome. We're back tomorrow night. We're starting the legal podcast early on Thursday. So same deal as what we do here, 9:00 Pacific. So Justin will be in. Tons of good stories to get to. We'll try to get Adam Hill in as well. Petro, nice job.
Always great being with you, buddy.